what I want to do for my area and my community and how I want to live and walk in it so that the people can see me and touch me and understand that I'm just like them, that is just as important to me as my own self-preservation. That's an example of my preservation to say, I'm here.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to The Empire, where we engage with everybody from pastors to actors, rappers to trappers, and everybody in between. My name's Antonio D. Miles, your host, and y'all should know what to do if you don't already. That's like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. If you want to support, we're trying to build it up, so you can do it simply by liking the video and subscribing to the channel, subscribing to all our channels. Or if you want to put some paper in our pockets, which helps because greenbacks make the money go around, you can do our Cash App, which is $TheeEmpirePodcast, or you can do our PayPal, which is .me/TheeEmpirePodcast. But other than that, let's get into our amazing guest, educator, rapper, businessman, and so much more. And we're going to find out about that today. Cam Gnarly. Welcome to The Empire, Cam.
Thank you for having me, man. Thank you.
Bro, so glad to have you, man. So glad to have you.
Fire.
How's your day been so far, man?
The day's been good. We are on a 3 days, a 909 weekend. Yesterday was 909 day. So we had we're having a 3-day festival and celebration, 909 day. So it's been good. We had a lot of really dope performers last night, and I was up late, but pulled up to be here. Very professional.
Got you. Are you in that zombie mode where you're just like?
Not so much even a zombie mode.
Okay.
I'm no stranger to keeping like long hours and stuff like that. So I feel very present and I'm happy to be here.
Okay. Yeah. Happy to have you, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Are you excited about these events that's coming up?
Yeah. I just, it's dope that we're able to continue to create a platform and build a space for the artists to celebrate our section. Like I grew up going to hood days and stuff like that, and one of my some of my favorite lyrics is when he said real gangsters make hood holidays. And I feel like when you inspire people from your area to be proud of your of saying I'm from the 909, I'm from the Inland Empire, I'm from the Big Inland, I'm from Inland, IE, like all these different things, I'm from the Dino, I'm from the North End, like you give people pride, and even more so for the kids too, like they're able to grow up having something to like bang their chest about. So I feel like last year we were able to do it just right smack dab on 909 day, and it was cracking. And this year we were even more ambitious and turned it into a 3-day special event. So
got you.
On 9/8 we celebrated the producers, and we had a producer showcase. On 909 day we had some of the top up and coming and active rappers and artists in the area. And that was a crazy lineup, like jam packed from like 6 to 1 a.m. And then today it's a day party, so playing some of our favorite Inland Empire artists and their music, our favorite IE DJs, and giving away some real recognition
Got you.
from two producers.
How did it start? How did the 909 start? 909 Day start?
909 Day started as an extension of a collective I'm a part of called Audio Dope, and it's ran by myself as an extension of Rad Habits Holiday, and Brick to Your Face with Noah James and Lisa J, and our other partner A Sincere. And we linked up last year back in I want to say April was our first Audio Dope. And, we wanted to just be intentional with throwing a showcase that could go on monthly, and that we can pull people up and create that platform and give people something to look forward to, and as well give artists a dojo to come get their stuff off. It's almost called Audio Dojo, low key, but like a place, to sharpen your sword, and as an artist, as a performer, your ability to network, your ability to be in the community, a space for media arts, a space for photography, for all of the worlds from the internet to merge in a real place. And so we started that last year, and it was amazingly successful. Last Friday every single month. And our first 909 day was crazy, and we just want to continue to be more ambitious with it. We have some great ideas amongst all of us, and even everyone, our collaborators and the people who help us. Shout out like Productive Culture, who helps us with sound, Immortal Teresa, who's our resident DJ, and Firewater Venue as well. That's where they also throw the Thought Fest as well. So shout out 60 East and
Okay.
his peoples who, house us there. And it's continued to grow. It's starting to become a staple spot for people in and out of state, in and out of the Inland Empire, to want to come and showcase their art.
And it started about being for the IE people, right?
Yeah, but that's what
Shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all. Cam, for people who may not know who you are and what you do, can you please tell all of us who you are and what you do?
Well, to my recollection today, I am a rapper, singer, songwriter. I'm a performing artist. I'm a recording artist. I'm also an educator. I'm a member of the San Bernardino School District. I'm an instructional tutor for learning handicapped, physically handicapped students. I have a background in applied behavioral analysis. I used to work with people on the autistic spectrum. And just an all-around creative. My whole entire life, I've always been an artist. Before I was a musician, I was a visual artist. I used to draw and sketch and a little bit of painting as well, and even a writer in my really, really younger years. So I just am blessed enough to find ways to take all of my interests and my talents and find spaces to exercise them, and it's created quite a lifestyle for myself. And a lot of good albums and and a couple classic little joints here and there for the city and beyond. So I'm a creative.
Cool. When it comes down to it, creative.
I'm just creating
from the bottom line, right?
Yes.
Got you. You said you work with, I guess we'll probably talk about it a little bit more, but you said handicapped kids?
I wouldn't say some are handicapped in the sense of like physically handicapped or learning handicapped, but there's, different disabilities or spectrum. So I work with some youth from more like atypical diagnoses like ADHD or something like that. And then some a little more physically impaired or learning severe disabilities, so blind or wheelchair and things like that.
Did you choose that, or was it?
To a degree, I did.
Okay.
I've always worked in academics in some capacity. After I got out of high school, when I was in college, I started working as a tutor, and I kind of just stayed in that space. I used to work at the PAL Center here in the Dino. And then after that, I worked for Think Together for a few years, doing the after-school nonprofit sector. And then I did CAPS with under Mr. Majority at the Boys and Girls Club.
What's CAPS?
CAPS is an after-school program. I don't even remember what the acronym stands for, but I was one of the site directors through the Boys and Girls Club. Here in San Bernardino, and then I was the site director at Serrano Middle School for a few years, probably from like 2015 to 2017. And then I was a different site director in San Gregorio Pass, more toward Beaumont, out there in Cherry Valley, and I worked there for about a year. I even did a little bit of time at Spectrum Internet TV repair and stuff like that. I was on a call.
They always hire.
I was on a call service, and those you may have talked to me on the phone. I may have troubleshooted your internet for you.
My computer won't turn on.
Yeah, and like, have you unplugged it? Count to 10, plug it back in.
That part. All right, is it even plugged in?
Yeah, exactly. so many times. But I even had really interesting conversations in there. It's just I feel like this is the kind of person I am. Like, I'm able to talk to people. I've made connection with people that I'm not even, I'm not seeing them in that capacity, especially when I was doing the call center thing. But I feel like that's an extension of what it's like, just meeting people and being able to connect with them musically or just in conversation. So, but how I ended up working, I've worked in education for a long time, and I always wanted to work for the school district for my city because I just wanted to give back, and that's kind of like a lineage thing in my family. My parents used to run the junior micro league for San Bernardino Pop Warner. So for like 10 years, my dad was the athletic director, my mom was the president. So having kids in the community at the house, and feeding more than just your immediate family in that way is always like something that I was raised in, really. So
it's called the Geno League, you said?
It was the San Bernardino Junior Micro League.
What is that? What is that?
Oh, it's football. It's football.
Okay. Okay.
So it's like, yeah, it's kids out there playing football, the pads and their helmets,
Okay.
and
Okay.
my parents were the ones that facilitated all of that. So for about 10 years, there's a lot of kids who know my pops, Mr. Grant,
Gotcha.
and my mother who came up in those football programs and stuff like that. So being community oriented has always been something that started
Part of you.
in the house. Yeah. So
Gotcha. You know what's interesting? When you mentioned ADHD, I saw this. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
no,
off.
go off.
I saw this thing which it said like there's a connection between lack of sleep and ADHD. And I was like, that might actually make a lot of sense because there's actually a lot of studies between not having sleep and then having certain type of diagnoses or illnesses,
True.
et cetera. So it just kind of reminded me of that. But I wanted to, get a little deeper with you, Cam.
Yeah.
And can you give us all a brief synopsis story of there's fucking flies in here. It's bugging the shit out of me and Cam right now. Can you give us a brief synopsis story of where you grew up, how you grew up, all the way up to where you are today? If you can give us a brief one.
I'll do my best to make it brief.
It's okay.
Because I probably lived about 4 lifetimes.
There we go.
In my years. But all right, so I'll start with my grandparents. My grandparents are from the South, and during the Great Migration, they moved to Los Angeles. So my grandparents were from Mississippi and Louisiana. My grandfather's from Mississippi. My grandmother's from Louisiana. They got together and they moved to Venice, California, back before gentrification and stuff. So
yeah.
My dad is the youngest of 10 kids, and out in Venice on Palm Ave, she raised 10 children, 10 black children up there in Venice. And my dad met my mother in his first year of college, and they've been together ever since. Wow. So they would say high school sweethearts because they've known each other since then, but they got together during that time and they've been together ever since. So I've only known my parents to be together my entire life, together to this day, damn near 40 years. So that's beautiful. My grandparents, the same way. I lost my grandmother and grandfather when I was like 14, 15, but they had been together for almost 70 years. So I come from a big family, and I come from a big legacy family, and so much of who I am is embedded in being raised by my grandmother every day, who was also an educator as well. She taught in the church and she taught in the local school system. And all my cousins, like I said, my dad's the youngest of 10, so I have so many aunts and uncles and cousins, and before I even had outside friends, I had my cousins who were like my siblings, so shout out to my cousins. And then when my parents originally first they had a son, they lost before I was born, and then they moved to kind of change the scenery from the grief space that they were in when they lost their first son. They moved to Inland Empire in the early 90s, and they moved to San Bernardino. So that was around the time that I was born in Los Angeles and Santa Monica, but I only spent like the first like 5 or 6 years there as like that being my home. And then at that same time, my grandparents moved from Venice to Fontana, where many of them all lived together. And I went to school in Fontana. I went to Performing Arts Elementary School. So that was probably my first introduction to music and the arts. I was singing in plays. I auditioned for The Lion King on Broadway when I was like 8 years old. Dope. And I just decided not to do it because I wanted to go home and watch Pokemon. Like it was just a part of what I was doing. Yeah.
Who's your favorite Pokemon?
Probably Pikachu, just because I'm a main character type person.
Okay, okay.
But
Squirtle life over here.
Yeah, I feel you. I like turtles. I like Ninja Turtles. I'm with the turtles here. But so yeah, I went to Performing Arts Elementary School. Then after that, I started going to school primarily in San Bernardino because at the time where we moved to the Dino, there weren't many schools around. So in our area anyway, on the north end. So I was going to school in Fontana with my grandparents and my cousins. And then after that, up until 6th grade, I went to Palm, and then Palm Elementary School. And then I went to Shannon Hills, and then I went to Cajon, and then I went to Cal State San Bernardino. Excuse me. And then I went to San Bernardino Valley too. And in my time from like my junior year of Cajon High School and my freshman year of college, I was I mean, I was always a hip hop kid. Like I have vivid memories of writing all my favorite rappers down and wanting to know who the first rappers were and knowing all that. Like off the top of my head, I'd write it all down. I used to write down every record label and all their rosters and stuff like that. I was just a hip hop person, and hip hop being really connected, especially at that time with black culture as well. Like there was a clear separation between pop culture and what hip hop was and rap culture was at that time. So that's all I was about. So then, I even on my class ring in high school, one side said arts, the other side said hip hop. Like I knew what I was on before I knew what I was gonna do.
Do you remember Tigga in the Basement?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. One of my favorite freestyle, Cameron's freestyle, Wayne, Kanye, like some of my favorite. Tigga himself too. He was snap. And,
yeah.
And that way too, I try to pull a little bit of that too when I'm hosting, because that's how you host. Like you do what everybody coming up there can do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But they gotta bring that back, man.
Yeah, I think they really should. It'll be fire. I got an idea. I might bring it back. I got a cool idea.
Okay.
But after high school or in college, like I would just freestyle a lot, and then I got into like one of my first groups when I was in like somewhere around like 2009, 2008.
Yeah.
And it was in a group called the Hi-Hats that ran for like 3 years. And that was my first time like really getting exposure outside of my homies, because we were making music in the Meadowbrooks off of 2nd Street over there, and our homegirls there liked the music so much they started telling me about this thing called Building Blocks in Riverside, and you should go and blah blah. So we go, and when I go there, I bump into somebody I knew since high school, Noah James, and we went to Cone at the same time. He was a senior when I was a freshman, and I remember seeing him there. He was even freestyling back then. So when I saw him, it was just like this full circle moment, which really my life is full of these full circle moments. Yes. And then so then after that, I started doing music solo and just, trying to sharpen my sword at the Common Ground back in the early 2010s. And, somewhere along the line, I really got into a great rhythm of creating my own music, and was able to garner a solid fan base from my city, from doing shows in the Inland Empire, doing shows in Los Angeles, performing at South by Southwest in Texas, performing at Broke LA and Broke Cella in Los Angeles, and then being able to rub shoulders with some of my favorite rappers at the time, opening up for like Pac Div. I opened up for Drake when I was like 19 at the Fox Theater here in San Bernardino. I opened up for Dom Kennedy, Currency, Kendrick, all early, and that was really probably like the first real introduction for a lot of people to hear my music or see me on stage, even as I was still figuring it out. Like I was performing songs that weren't even finished as I was trying to like find my way through it, and luckily people connected.
Would you freestyle like
sometimes? Up until a point. I would freestyle up until a point. I'd rap what I knew of the song, and then I'd freestyle the rest. Like I said, I'm a good freestyle rapper as well, so, and it's a part of my process too. So so I dropped my first project in 2012, Cam Meets World. Then I followed that up about a year and a half later with my project called GoPro, which is the mentality of like trying to go professional with my music. And then after that, some years later, I think, that was 2014. And then in 2016, I dropped an EP called The Posse Prevails. And that really started to be like my battle cry, my little anthem for like my mindset as well. All my albums, a lot of times they coincide with my mindset at the time, so it's kind of like a diary. But being positive or maintaining a positive mindset with all the stuff that I was encountering, that became like the approach. So Posse Waves became a big part of my branding, became a big part of my messaging in my music, and I knew I wanted to make intentional and positive music that would be able to connect with people sonically from stuff that we grew up listening to in the streets, and trying to create that juxtaposition between the what we hear and the kind of message that we're indoctrinated into, and then being more intentional with those same kind of sonics. Like, this sounds like your favorite Gucci Mane song or something like that, but what I'm talking about may be good for your mental in that way, or you may be going through it and don't understand how to articulate that. So I was always trying to be a voice for people who feel like they didn't have one in that kind of way, like weren't hearing that in the music, kind of like how I felt when I first heard like Kanye
Gotcha.
or Fonte or Lil Brother and all that. So
Little brother. Ooh.
so that was my first. That was the Posse Prevails, the first installation of like Posse into my music, and then after that I did. What did I do after that? After that, I think I released a project with Noah James. We put out a project called Gnarly Orca. That was really dope. And that was my first
cool.
little touch of like getting signed, because I signed a distribution deal with Alpha Pup Records. It's like one of the biggest independent distribution. They do distribution for like Brain Feeder and Thundercat. I was recording in the same place like Thundercat in Kamasi, Washington. And
Cool.
so I got to really experience like all this other stuff, and then meeting more artists along the way. Like there's so much. I'm trying to keep it brief.
Yeah. It's hard.
yeah. So then after that, in that was 2017. In 2018, I took the year off to work on an album called Nirvana, which to date is my biggest received and highest like selling or streamed album, like with more than like I want to say like 60, 70,000 streams.
Yeah,
and had songs that people really connect with, like The Nine, that's about San Bernardino, Shorty's World, and then even some of the other songs that kind of propelled me in that direction from GoPro had Levitate, that was like a crowd favorite, and then the Positive Prevails had Cabbage, that was really a crowd favorite. That song really changed my life. Like it put like the first $10,000 that I ever made off of music, and bought a car, and really changed my life in that regard during that time period. And then Nirvana came out, and that was 2018, and that was it was 2019. Wildly received. Like I did so much for the rollout for that album, and it worked. And then I put out another project in 2020 called 333HZ, or 333 Hertz, which is like a healing frequency.
Yeah.
And the irony of that is, in 2020, the whole world got sick and shut down. So it was cool that the music was able to connect at that time. And then after things settled down in 2021, I put out Love Really Is, which was my last project, last like real studio release. And that was a EP where I broke down all the different variables of love from my perspective that I've experienced. So each song finished the title to say, it's right here actually. It says Love Really Is. And each song title finishes. So Love Really Is Boundaries, Love Really Is Healing, Love Really Is Sweet, Love Really Is Heart Talks, Love Really Is Love, and Love Really Is an Exchange. So I use that as the concept to like articulate that. And now I'm gearing up to drop my next album called Northend Gnarly, that is a little bit of mixture of a lot of those previous projects and some of my favorites songs and new soundscapes, and trying to push it there. But all throughout that time of making all this music, I'm also working in after school programs, and being a site director, and having like 6 staff here or working there, and or just building in my community with my homies, throwing events and throwing shows from here to through my monikers, Rat Habits. We thrown a lot of events. We used to throw posse parties. We used to throw Rat Habit warehouse parties here in San Bernardino. I had a monthly in LA at Los Globos off of Sunset for a little while, throwing manifestivals. We before COVID, we were even throwing a monthly event called You're, because that's one of the things I'd be saying, like You're. So we're throwing this event called You're Invited, and then the second installment of that was You're Welcome, and then just throwing more, just trying to bring all the arts together. So we had live screen printing with my homie Duan, schoolboys, and we had painters there trying to create platforms for painting artists or visual artists, performing artists, singers, poets. So that's always just being creative throughout the whole process. So doing all of that at the same time as creating the music to live to.
And keep it going, right?
So that's a brief thing from where I come from and what I've created.
Gotcha. And we take it. I want to congratulate you on the new record that just got released a couple days ago.
2 days ago.
I Don't Play.
I Don't Play About You.
All right.
I Don't Play About You.
I was listening to it, and I remember you mentioned something about, you asked and talking about what love is, or It reminded me about what you said about, you asked your dad what love is.
Oh yeah,
Right?
yes,
Kind of like
yes.
about protecting your mom or something along those lines. Right? And so that record that you just came out with,
Yeah.
it's for me, and clarify if I'm wrong, it seemed like you took that message that your dad was talking about and put that in that record.
Damn, I never really thought about it like that, but that does make that like I said, my life's full circle moment. So yeah, I definitely I feel like the verses on that song and the sentiment itself does reflect what I was taught from my father that I spoke on another platform about, like, you know, the conversation I had with my dad when I asked him, you know, what is love to you, and he told me, like, he just chose to take care of her. And I think about that second verse saying, I don't care about your history, be low key, be a mystery, stay solid when it's slippery, match my fly, don't be flimsy. Like, that does remind me of my parents in a way, because, you know, my mother comes from a different type of background than my father. My mother's the only child and had more of a tumultuous background in her upbringing. My father, like I said, he comes from a big family, the youngest of 10. So, you know, there's already so much infrastructure there that he came into.
Yeah.
And me as well, as an extension of him as well. So, you know, like I said, I come from a legacy family in that regard. So, you know, we don't, that mentality, not to be cliche, but, you know, we don't play about our, you know, who we care about.
Yeah.
And even how that song was written, I was in the studio, and, you know, we were having a conversation very similar to, and she just texted that phrase to me saying, like, oh, you know, I don't play about you, whatever we were talking about. And I'm like, that's a hard line. I'm gonna have to make a song out of that. And she's like, do it, you know, which is, you know, in that way, I'm sorry, and shout out to her in that way, because how I started Love Really Is at the time, I remember it was 2020 during COVID, and we were just relaxing, chilling, and I was like, dang, I ain't made no music. And she challenged me, like, make a song right now. And one of the first songs made off that project, the first and second songs, was The Hills, and I made that right in front of her, just going into it. So yeah, shout out to my baby, shout out to Tita, she's in the video with me.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I hadn't thought about it like that before, but that's a good takeaway. Yeah,
Not too bad, right?
Yeah, solid.
Shows that someone's listening.
I appreciate y'all for listening too. Like, it's the reception to this song has been amazing.
Yeah.
It's me continuing to use my voice as an instrument and push new soundscapes, because I like to try my hand at making a little bit of every kind of music that I like.
Yeah.
So if I feel like I like it, and like I said, like, I came up around so much music growing up that I made the decision one day. It's like, I know so many songs. I got to make my own music. I got to make my own songs.
Facts.
So I'm gonna catch.
We're gonna get him. We're gonna
get him on camera.
We're talking about the fly.
Yeah, I'm gonna catch him. But
hey, Pokemon.
Yeah. Like, having so many songs, you know, knowing so many songs, I knew I wanted to, you know, make music. So, like, I didn't mention, but, like, my family grew up, like, my grandmother had a lot of kids. They sang in the choir, church family. So singing in the choir, singing at home was something that we would do regularly. My grandma would just sit me and all my cousins around the table and be like, all right, we're going to sing My Girl. Start here. And go around the table. Everybody sing the part. So I'll never forget that part where I got to my part and I was like, you say, and everybody like, whoa, Cam singing, you know, so.
That boy got pipes.
Yeah, so when I realized that, you know, I just like always to, I feel like I did that a lot on Love Really Is too, like, did a lot of more harmonies and more singing, and so I wanted to, with this song being the first one to come out from this new project, and remembering where I came from with Love Really Is, like, I thought it'd be a good segue into that and to keep the love going. And yeah, in the videos, I shout out to homie Dev and Playtime Productions. Like, we really made something fire and classic and effective in a short amount of time, and it feels so authentic because all my friends are in it, my shorties in it, and it's real. Proud of it, really proud of it.
With the red Impala, is it Impala?
Oh no, that's it's a Rambler actually.
It's a Rambler.
It's a Rambler.
Okay. You know, it's gonna be hard to kind of answer this question, but I have to ask it because you mentioned so many different styles and stuff like that, and I'm listening to your raps and, like, it changes.
Yeah.
So if you could, how would you define your style?
I would define my style as very eclectic. I would also describe it as very charismatic, and I would definitely describe it as uh, um, just expanding. Really, like to describe it to me is to almost box it, to give it a title that isn't allowing it space to grow and change. So yeah, I think my style is eclectic. My inspirations vary from the things that I see, read, take in, my friendships, the kind of things that I'm exposed to, and I typically am able to find something, a little something, to take away and grow from often. I'm pretty self-reflective, so in that concept, like, if I like it and I really am into it, I'm somebody who's gonna listen to it over and over and over and over again, to the point that in some way, shape, or form, I'm gonna be inspired by it in that way. So, I always, my homegirls was telling me, "Oh, you should do a song where you just singing," and because I sing. So that was it. It was a lot of mixtures of things that brought me to a space to make something like a song like that.
Okay.
Yeah, but I got more on the way too.
A lot.
Yeah, we got some more on the way.
I was curious because the next album is called Northend, right?
Yeah, Northend Gnarly. Yep.
So this is a two-parter, right? And so why the name for the North End? Why name it that, Northend Gnarly? And also, are you still conscious about the type of stuff you're putting on wax and what you're saying?
I can definitely. I'm probably more conscious about it now than ever, because I feel like as I've grown older, the separation in the worlds the degree of separation gets smaller and smaller. So there are times where I was working in the education space and none of my rap stuff would fall into that space. I was working in the rap space, none of my education academic works and stuff like that will come into that space. And then even like, growing up in the Dino in general, like none of my stuff that I did in the streets or something like that never kind of found its way in either one of those things, if not like talked about in a subtle way in music or suggested in a way with like some of the kids that I'm working with, like, I know what you're talking about. I've been through that kind of thing. But as the music continues to grow and expand, you can't hide it, you can't separate it, and I have to just only embody it. So I am becoming more mindful. I feel like I've always been a little mindful in my reputation and how I handle and carry myself, in my and trying to move with integrity and have a mission statement in what I'm doing, and not just be out here like just doing whatever. But with that being said, like, I do know that there are particular eyes on me, and people who care, and people who are interested, and people who are learning. So I try to be mindful of them at the same time, and still be honest within myself, and not stifle myself to hide certain parts of my experience. So yeah, I'm definitely more mindful with it. And what was the other part of the question?
The name of the album.
Oh, the name of the album. Yeah.
Why?
Oh, because for me, there's a lot of reasons why, but I'm from the North End. I'm from the Northend of San Bernardino, and I feel like I've always made it a point to represent San Bernardino in my music from any aspect. From the first time I got on music, I would talk about where I was from in the city streets, and things that I've experienced, and so many of my experiences in San Bernardino made me who I am today. So with that being said, I just feel like as I continue to make albums, I want to come up with more creative ways to represent. So
I like that.
we are from the inland. Everybody's from the IE, and a lot of rappers are from San Bernardino, and I feel like it's important to represent from the area that I'm from. So that's the Northend of San Bernardino, and then so many of my experiences, especially in my earliest introductions to rap, I was always coming home to the North End. My homies dropping me back off on the North End. I'd be on the West Side off of Medical Center with the homies and recording music, and that go back to the North End, or I'd be off of Second Street at the Meadowbrooks recording with my homies there, and I'm passing up some of the wildest experiences, different hoods, and all kinds of stuff, and I'm going back to the North End. So I feel like it's just a special. It's a special place. It reminds me of so much of my family, my friends, my, going to school on the North End, fights on the North End, we're getting out of situations, like all kinds of stuff. The love up there and the community, especially for like the black people up there too. Yeah. Like, it's just something that's always stuck with me, and some of my longest running friendships and connections started from the North End. So I love the Inland Empire. I love all parts of it. Like I said, I went to school in Fontana. I stayed in Rialto for a little while. I got homies. My mother's been working in Riverside my whole life. My pops was in Loma Linda for a long time too. Like,
okay.
I moved around, and even like I said, my parents are from Los Angeles too, so I spent a lot of time in LA. I would spend a lot of time. I'm no stranger to like an hour drive from the North End to South Central. Like, I would do that every single weekend to go see my cousins and my aunts, and so for me, I just want to represent all these different spaces that have made me who I am, and it's time to talk about the North End in that way. So yeah,
so for people who may not know, where would you say the North End starts, and what the North End is?
The North End is like the northern end of San Bernardino.
So like 40th Street and up.
40th? Yeah, you could say 40th. Depends on, like, you could even go like 30th. I think, like, Victoria and stuff like that. Like 30th. Just about probably like just around like 30th, like probably like a block up from like Highlands, like right there.
Gotcha.
I feel like Highlands is really like the cutoff point, because if you go any further, as soon as you go take a left and start going up, you're going toward the North End. So,
baseline is not the North End.
Yeah, I wouldn't say baseline. Yeah, baseline's not the North End. I would spend a lot of time on baseline and stuff and go pick on my homies, but I feel like the cutoff spot probably would be like Highland. That's just probably like the higher point, because if you want to go like more into the city, you're gonna be like off of 5th and 2nd and like right in downtown, so but I feel like as soon as you make a left going anywhere over there, you're going north, what I'm saying? That's the way I look at it.
I got you.
So we going north, and then it goes as far as like Devore, really.
Okay,
so
Devore,
like,
Devore's all the way up
there. So we're right on the edge of, like, my homie used to say, you live in because I remember one time he took me home we were in Pomona, and he was like, you don't live in Dino, you live in Pasadena, because he used to say Pasadena all the time, like Pasadena, but because Devore's right there, like where our freeways are, we are literally right on the edge of like that freeway you got to take to go to Vegas. So it's right there. I have so many friends who hit me like, bro, can I crash? I'm trying to go to Vegas. I'm like, yeah, we literally are the exit right
the
there.
15,
so
right?
Yep, yeah. From where the 215 and the 215 and the 15 meet, so.
That's so crazy. You mentioned that, you do a whole bunch of different styles of art, right?
Yeah. So,
rap, can we say was the most latest of all the arts that you got involved with?
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
I feel like that. I was singing in the choir and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I did visual arts, and
Before
I feel like
rapping.
rap. Yeah, but long before rap. I didn't start rapping until like
much later,
2003, 2004, in
much
the back
later.
of the bus. Yeah, much later.
So, how did all those other art forms influence and support your rap career?
I mean, it's present all the time. I feel like in my ability, in my ear for music, like knowing sound scales without ever. Oh, I was about to say knowing sound scales without ever being like quote unquote professionally taught, because I was taught it at a very young age.
Yeah.
So I was downloading information at a time when I wasn't even sure what I was doing. So I was playing trumpet, learning scales and stuff like that, and singing in the choir, learning scales and things like that, and didn't have to utilize it until I started rapping, and then realizing that my delivery in music when I was rapping was more melodic. I remember being in the studio with my homie Brian in like 2010, and I was rapping something with him, and he was like, bro, I hear a melody in there, just let that out. And at the time I was so like jaded by that, like, bro, I'm trying to be a rapper, rappers don't sing, like, so I was, I went against that at first. So
pre-Drake.
Pre-Drake for sure. And I was just also I was like a huge Wayne fan too, so I was like, oh, if you're not singing with auto-tune, like, you probably shouldn't be singing, because then it's R&B. But then, finding ways to, definitely crediting artists like Drake or and also hearing stuff that was like singing adjacent, like Lucy Pearl and stuff like that, where it's like this is like kind of like the rap singing that a Beyonce does or something like that, where it's like this melodic driven chorus. It almost sounds like every line is the hook, what I mean? And that's the way I've found my voice in writing, where I was like, I can take what I know and how to use my voice as an instrument in song and singing, and apply that to how I'm directing it when I'm writing my rap. So I'm just able to add a different type of bravado to it when delivering it, and that helps with on a performer aspect as well. True. Because it makes every performance special. It makes every song, I can perform it like how it sounds right there on the record, or I can give you this different type of rendition each time, and that's what makes it fresh. But I definitely feel like it all culminated, like, even to, like I said, I was a visual artist. A lot of my earliest covers, I would sketch out, draw myself. Cool. And say like, oh, this is what I want it to look like. And then I'd be so simply like, do a little sketch. And my friends like, that's crazy. Why? How could you do that? Like, why? They'll take direction from a lot of different artists, and they're like, I want it to look like this, but with this and da-da. And I just have the skill set to sketch it out and show them exactly what I want. For example, like my Cammy's World cover, like I really did the original sketch of that, and then gave it to my homie Manuel Pierre III, who actually did the final artwork. But that's how those types of skill sets from early on in my life have assisted me, because I'm able to communicate my vision, or in a way that I can show you exactly what I mean. I can take a song that I'm like, oh, it should sound something like this, and show you exactly what I mean. Especially in it's more popular now, but there's been so many times where in my life where I'll do an interpolation of a certain song, or like a melody or harmony in music, because those harmonies stuck out to me, that I can hear them. If I heard that one piece, then I'll make the mental connection. So I love doing that, like putting like a little Easter egg of a harmony in the music, where people are like, oh yeah, like, oh, I know that song. Like on the song, what's that song? Too Much, where the last bridge is low key like an interpolation of the first few lines from 21 Questions with Nate Dogg. Okay. And because I'm a big fan of Nate Dogg, I have a lot of interpolations of Nate Dogg in my music. My song Mary Jane with Airplane James is like an interpolation of like Nate Dogg, DJ Quick, and like Michael Jackson's The Girl Is Mine. Okay. And so with Paul McCartney? Yeah. Because that's the original sample for that song that we had to replay on that one. And then even more than that too, like the 21. I just want to chill and twist the lie. On my mind, I ain't gonna lie. Like the way I delivered it, it worked in the cadence of the song. Yeah. But for those that hear it, like, oh, I know that. Like, oh, he's doing that. So creating that type of creating those kind of moments, because I like that kind of thing where I hear something, I'm like, oh, he's smart, he or she did this, like this is a flip of this. So, like I like creating that type of dialogue for the listener. So I did catch that. So that's really fun. I like to do that kind of stuff, and it's the skill set of remembering and working from that space, from things I learned when I was a kid at Harupa and doing music or just being that kid who was singing the songs in the back of the car and with my family, and always having that moment where my family members like, oh, you really know that song, huh? Gotcha. He really singing? Oh, it's great. So I just kept that, and even from the visual aspect of like creating or knowing what I want my covers to look like, or I do a lot of graphic design work as well too, and I could definitely credit like my ability to have the vision for what I want to see, and the way I line things up and stuff like that. That artistic eye that comes from like just years of practice. From the that's so awesome. I got the girl is mine is stuck in my head. Yeah. The girl is mine. Mine. Yeah, the sample is on there. I'll have to show it to you after. And I remember listening to one of your tracks, and I remember hearing something. I was like, oh, that's from this. Yeah. And that's so cool. I know you've been a part of a lot of groups, a lot of collectives and stuff like that. What do you think, and maybe it may have existed or not, and maybe it has, maybe it does. What do you think about having like an IE collective of artists that can make like a Wu-Tang type of album? Where you have like just 10 artists that are strictly IE, and they just come on and just like kill a record. You think, is that possible to happen in IE? Has it already happened? I think we've seen things like that before. Okay. not necessarily been a. I feel like I've seen things like that before. I feel like I've been a part of a collective of rappers before. Like shout out to my homies, the Crilly fam, in like my early like 2014, Loki like 2010, 2014. Me, DC, Aaron Mays, Hyman the Jedi, and you know having that was especially at a time where collectives in rap were more popularized.
Yeah.
You would see things like, you know, a Young Money camp with like Wayne and Drake and Nicki and Tyga and all that. Or you have, you know, I came up watching Rockefeller with Jay-Z and Beanie Siegel and Memphis Bleak.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, I come from that. Even, you know, the when the homies had it when they're with Black Cloud Music, when it was like Noah James and Curtis King and Art Bars and all these, you know, collective artists. So I think it's definitely possible and it's definitely happened. But it's always be cool to see people come to do the Voltron and kind of create something really dope. So I'd be interested in doing something like that.
I would love to see it.
You know, it's definitely possible for sure. I feel like we create those kind of spaces when we throw events to have those kind of conversations. I definitely told 3-4 rappers yesterday that we're gonna get one, we're gonna cook and stuff like that. So it's just about the execution and the follow through. Because it's really there. You know, we're all creatives, but we are all creatives and living a different lifestyle every single day. So it's all about having the alignment and the time and creating the spaces that we can do that. But definitely possible. I've been a part of a few myself,
And I guess someone has to lead the charge for that. That's the
for sure. I can definitely say I'm leading on a few other things. Anybody want to pick that one up? Let me know.
Because that would be dope to see like at least like 10, even like 15 rappers that are just all from the IE. And they just want to like make an album and just like you're just like, oh wow, there's Adam et al, there's Tangent, there's Noah, there's Cam, you know, like I mean, like I would love to see that.
But I'm just glad I got songs of all those guys, you know, like we're able to, you know, I feel like it would be dope to have a big session with everyone, but I think what's even doper is that over the years, like there's just this big network of artists that, you know, if you listen to a Noah, you'll find a Cam Gnarly.
Yeah.
If you listen to a Tangent, you'll find a Cam Gnarly. If you listen to, you know, like people, those are just my friends. Like those are people that I know, or what I've been saying lately is community cousins. You know, we Black, so you know we grew up. That your mama best friend, her kids is born at the same time as you. That's your cousin. That's your auntie. You know what I'm saying? And by that same extent, you know, we done known a lot of my fellow artists from the Inland Empire and adjacent, you know, IE and all OC and things like that. Like we know each other for going on almost 10 years, 12 years, 13 years. So you know, you're more than my friend, you're a creative cousin, like basically a community cousin, because if we came up and our moms knew each other, we'd be like, oh, that's my cousin. So that's the way I look at it. And it's able to, you know, it defines the line too for me too, because I feel like I meet a lot of people all the time, and I've learned through discernment to know who's my friend, who's my acquaintances, and who's really my close cousins. You know what I'm saying? So
and who's the enemy?
Knowing the difference, hey, the enemy will reveal themselves in time, but I only focus on the ones I like. Yeah, so
focus on the positivity.
Yeah, exactly.
I roll with it. Cam, how do you think the IE hip hop scene has changed or grown?
I feel like it's changed a lot. When I first came into it, when I was like 19, I feel like it was a lot more spiteful. A lot more people were out for self, and it's just a byproduct of the time period. You know, like it was a different time period. You know, more gangster, more hood, more prideful, more possessive, and over time, I feel like in spaces like ours, I feel like I definitely played my part into it by contributing my music or mindset to it. But, you know, creating me always trying to just move with positivity, and even to the point that it's going beyond something that I would just say all the time. Now it's just something that I embody. I don't got to say positive all the time. And I'm even, even not pivoting, but like expanding on that as well to be very positive, more so than just be positive, you know, so that it's not even an abbreviation anymore. It's not an acronym. It's not a secret thing that you have to decode. It's something that we walk with, that we move in, and being very positive. So with that in mind, I feel like over the years, I saw more camaraderie surrounding my music and my contemporaries music as well, because we shared a similar mindset. When it's like a stride for me is a stride for you. We both from the Inland Empire. You from the West Side. I'm from the North End. You're from Rialto. You're from Ontario. You're from Mobile. But if we go all these different places and we say we're from the IE, each time someone's like, oh yeah, I think I heard of that. I know Cam Gnarly. You'd be like, oh yeah, I know Cam. That's the homie. Oh, I think I heard of Cassius Green. Oh yeah, like that's my homie from Mobile. Like, and the way I look at it, it's almost like boroughs in New York. You know, without the competition. And sometimes there is competitiveness. You know, that's just the nature of it. But I don't feel like there's any. I feel like we should truly do away with the concept of creative competition. I don't think that it cultivates the greatest type of art. It creates competition. That's just what it creates. So I feel like whatever you can offer to the overall community, that is what will create your legacy. But if your legacy is just competing with the people in your community, that will be your legacy, and that in itself will burn you out. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you run when you want to run, you won't burn out as fast as you running every single time you feel like you have to race somebody. And I feel like I said, with my contemporaries and my fellow artists who align with that same type of mindset, we've been able to uplift each other and have more of a hearty inspiration with each other.
Okay.
Not so much a competitive creation, but just inspired more than anything, just to be inspired. I feel like that in itself, from even like a psychoanalytic standpoint, will cause you less mental grief than trying to keep up with the Joneses. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to be confident and comfortable in your own skin. But if you are in a space, or, you know, trying to come up in spaces where people are pushing you to only do shit based on competition, you know, like, what are you competing for?
Yeah.
Then what do you do when you got it? You got who you then you must find new adversaries. Then you create these, you know, then you find yourself, you know, that can go left so easily with someone that you're competing with to then become someone you're beefing with. And it's not necessary. I mean, just personally, it don't suit me. Maybe it works for other people. Maybe they need that for their motivation. I just don't feel like I need it.
Gotcha. You know, I feel like there's an unhealthy competition and healthy competition.
Healthy. I feel like there's like,
you understand what I mean when I say that?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah, definitely. I feel like there is a healthy competition in the sense, like, the healthy competition is like, damn, I saw him do that and I loved it so much. I was so inspired. I had to try it myself. There's no negative context in that, where I saw him do something, so inspired by it, I want to try it. But there's other competition where he was like, oh, I saw him do that. He was doing it so well, but I knew I could do it better. I wanted to shit on everybody. That's a negative connotation.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
You know what I'm saying? So it is about how you approach it. And I feel like it has its W's, you know, it has its really good wins in the times where people were more competitive. But I feel like that has its ceiling. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if we're trying to create, like, I want to create like this space or this world where everybody is just creating and being authentic to themselves, so that, you know, you have a million outcasts, you know what I'm saying? Or like those type of groups where it's like, you know, you're hearing somebody have something to say from an area you're not expecting. Yeah. As opposed to, you know, what I may feel from like a more of a LA community or something like that, where it feels like there's this energy of like, I got to be top dog, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like maybe this could be a trauma response as well, because it's like, I watched every one of California's favorite artists, the number one guy who's boastfully saying, I'm that nigga and blah, 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 die. You know what I'm saying? Pac. So, yeah, it's Pac, Nipsey. They even shot YG. Like, you know what I'm saying? And even most recently, R.I.P. Draco. Like, these very influential artists who create the soundscape of the time period, and then you're daunted by trying to protect your neck. Yeah. Every day after that you say that you're the nigga. Like, you know, that has its perks and its benefits, but I'm just saying, for the overall like betterment of the creative space, I feel like have healthy inspiration, have healthy or inspired competition more than just, you know, trying to shit on people.
I agree, because I believe that like healthy competition, or, you know, I guess it depends how people want to grow, but competition drives innovation and growth, because people always want to be better. They're like, okay, man, he can do that. Fuck, that means I could probably do something just as good or maybe better. And I feel like things like that help things grow. Yeah. Because if everyone's just like, oh, okay, this is fine, then they're not really pushing themselves.
Oh yeah, I definitely don't want to ever create like I don't want people to ever create like an echo chamber of like, oh, this is good, this is good, this is good. I'm not saying that.
I know,
critique. You know what I'm saying? Critique and ask questions and want to know why and show people where they can improve based on what we've experienced and based on what we've seen. Like, oh, this is good.
Yeah.
But we got this. You know what I'm saying? So you want to innovate and you want to create. I'm just saying, yeah, like like you said, I agree.
You mentioned Nip, man, and I gotta ask your opinion about it. And I think you mentioned it before too, and it's kind of a two-part thing, which is like, and someone talked about the Migos too, which is kind of like, what you rap becomes your life.
Yeah.
And you can kind of die by it.
Art imitates life for sure.
Yeah, live or die by the raps you write. You know what I mean? And shout out to Nip, and we know that he was really trying to help the community.
Yeah.
Right? Like his vision was perfect. But I heard someone was saying was like, it would have been better if, since he was so popular, to like leave and then kind of like work at it more professional. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if you see what I'm saying?
I feel like it's a tragedy. It's a tragic story to do so much in your community and die right there within it.
Be betrayed by people that you're trying to
help.
And
same thing with Young Dolph, and same thing. He was just buying some cookies for his grandma at a store he goes to all the time. And I feel like you hear that when it's like you gotta. I think I was just watching a video yesterday on Instagram or something with Wiz Khalifa talking about how like to get popping in your area, sometimes you got to leave it to go get popping somewhere else for your city to love you more or appreciate you more.
Yeah.
Or for the other people who believe that if you can't get it popping at home, you can't get it popping anywhere. And it's all about what works for you, typically, for your artistic journey. So because there's people who are from LA who got popping in Arizona, and then it trickled out back to LA. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Or like myself, I've got a pretty solid fan base in the Empire. I got a pretty solid fan base in Los Angeles. Like, and it fills in the in between. So I'm not the biggest nigga on every city, but I got a good seeds planted in each of them. But I feel like in terms of Nip, I don't think that his story would be the same if he did something like that. He would have done the I got popping in Arizona and then I took it back to South Central with me. I feel like his legacy and his story started with how much he incentivized Los Angeles and South Central Crenshaw district. So with him, it's just a tragedy that you could do so much and it could still turn around on you. And like I said, I feel like I've said this a lot of times. I don't like no one's ever said that I am saying like I'm shitting on it, but I feel like I'm very cautious in how I say it because some of these albums and these musics are testimonies to like the black experience, you know what I mean? 100%. So for every NWA, Straight Outta Compton and all of that, like you have 1,000 more that are not doing the same and are not speaking a light of truth or what's happening in the streets. They're more about perpetuating what's happening in the streets, glorifying what's happening in the streets. And I don't think that many of the more successful artists who survive those things, like a Dr. Dre and that, who may even love gangster rap and stuff like that, wants those negative things glorified. And I feel like I saw so many interviews coming up from those same artists saying like, I'm just telling you what it is. I'm just showing you what it's like on the streets of what's happening. We're not glorifying this. It's just what happens. But that's not everybody's reality. And so what happens is when you put that into the world, art imitating life, you got people who are trying to imitate your life in their art. And that idea that they have of you catches back up to you. So if it's almost a live by the gun, die by the gun concept. So it's like it's terrible, and I'm not saying that there's any foreshadowing, but there, if you look at it in a certain way, there is. It's a little eerie in that way. I listen to Blue Laces too. And it sounds so much like I know he like Nipsey's describing on Blue Laces too a situation with his friend getting shot and having to rush him to the hospital and him dying on the way there, and so much of the story sounds just like what happened to him, so it's like I said, it's a tragedy. but I don't think that his story, as sad as it ended, could have gone any other way, because in that particular person's legacy, he created something bigger than himself and even his life in a martyrship as well, because he embodied something so purely that it was without question. And you saw the transition that he made, and to the point that he was in an area that he used to be thoroughly protected in, and that comfort crossed him,
Yeah. And that's what I was kind of getting at. I didn't cut you off, did I?
No.
That's what I was getting at. I was like, not like Nipsey to get popular in Arizona and come back, but that he got too comfortable and didn't realize his popularity, and that he should be a little bit more protected, in his area.
I don't know. It's hard to say,
It is.
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
I would never, I don't know how, if I had the opportunity to ever speak to him, I don't know how I'd say that to him to say.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people told him that.
For sure.
So it's a tragedy though, for sure. Definitely a tragedy.
Just want to thank you, Nip, for all you've done, man. We know you're about the positive light and everything like that.
I was able to go to his funeral, and it was incredibly impactful. And I feel like so many artists who I build in my community. I still live in it. I work at the schools that I went to. I still talk about the area that I live in. And granted, I don't make the kind of music that will call that type of energy to me, but I am from San Bernardino, so I know that don't matter. So I feel like even for him, I can imagine that for him, it doesn't matter. Like, what I want to do for my area and my community and how I want to live and walk in it, so that the people can see me and touch me and understand that I'm just like them, that is just as important to me as my own self-preservation. That's an example of my preservation, to say, I'm here. You see me here. I'm a part of this, and I've known people who got shot up going to places that I go to all the time. You know what I'm saying? And it's just a part of living in a dangerous area, you know, but that doesn't take away from what he did to make that area a little more safe. Yeah. And now, in his passing, unfortunately, he becomes a living legacy of what you can do with a life.
Facts.
So, rest in peace.
Yeah. Remember you were talking about, I remember some people used to call, they weren't really in the streets, but they would say that I am CNN for the streets, basically, And I can't think of the cat from D12, but he was one of my favorite rappers that was part of D12. It was Eminem. I thought he was
Proof.
R.I.P. And one of Eminem's videos, Proof gets shot on the street and then dies in the hospital.
Yeah.
And then
that happened in real life.
Yeah, it happened in real life, and that was kind of wild, seeing that.
It's eerie, man. This music that we do, it spells. We're creating something that's going out into the world, and it's empowered by people's belief in it. Same as anything else, you know what I'm saying? The money in your wallet, you know what I'm saying, is not backed by anything other than our mutual agreement that it represents something.
Facts.
So with that same thing with music and the ways that we talk about it and glorify it even more than the money that it makes sometimes, that is what creates the magic surrounding it. That's what creates the lore surrounding it, and that's what creates the situations that people are willing to find themselves in for it. For the music, for the artist to want to be the rapper, to want to be the guy who killed the rapper. It's tricky and it's weird, and you hear about it. You know what I'm saying? What Kendrick say? That the one, what's the song?
Is it on the newest album?
No, also one of his older ones. Okay. The one by the gun or something like that, lives forever or something like that. It's just as infamous, I feel like, as the person who died is the one who killed them, and it creates that cycle, and it continues. So I don't really, I'm just an artist and a rapper and a person too, so I'm just trying my best to big up my community and recognize the dangers within it and contribute something more to it. But I could just as easily fall victim to it for whatever reason, and people will find something if they look close enough to
Yeah.
be like, he talked about this and then it happened. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So
they'll
it's,
piece
you know what I'm
something
saying?
together.
Yeah, they can. You know. So anyway, we can say so many reasons and things. Like I said, I listen to Blue Laces and it makes me cry hearing it when I'm like, damn, bro, like you knew. You know what I'm saying? You knew these things could happen. Or when I listen to like what's the one with him and him and Dom Kennedy, I can't remember right now.
I know it's right there.
Yeah, it's right there.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's
Keep
the
going,
one.
keep going.
It's the one. Just how he talks about, just like, you know, he's always like an artist who. And I want to take it off a nip a little bit because it's a touchy subject.
I know,
but for an
vibe
artist
changed a little
who
bit.
like moves heavily in the aspect of like I keep it with me or I stay strapped and stuff like that. Speaking like that is just a testimony to somebody to test that.
Got
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I think that is what happens. And there's also the more just tragic situations, wrong place, wrong time kind of shit. So you can't really call it, just do your best to stay safe. And as well, do your best to, like the homie say, stay dangerous as well. Like so that you can get out of a dangerous situation. You know, I definitely know I'd rather have it with me than not have it when I need it. But even more so that we have to be mindful about the message that we're putting out into the world because it will come back. It 100%. Comes back in some kind of way.
It's like alchemy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And speaking of alchemy, you know, I believe you mentioned before that you're kind of a spiritual person.
Yeah.
And you're clairvoyant.
A little bit.
Do you still feel like that to this day?
Yeah. I feel like the signs that I see in my life and how I'm able to connect certain things, certain words, numbers, phrases, play a big part into my creations and my offerings, as well as just the opportunities and situations I'm able to find myself in, even more than just like on a musical standpoint where I'm like, oh, I met this guy and then this happened. Like that happens a lot, but that's just the nature of the industry. Sometimes you meet one person and it kind of, you know, the 6 degrees of separation gets smaller and smaller. But I definitely feel like in my life, I noticed like a lot of divine alignments that kind of guide me toward that, and I pay attention to it and I listen for those things when I you know, I'm in my meditative prayers and I ask for a particular sign or some type of strength or for some type of guidance. When I trust in that intuition, it rarely does it fail me.
Gotcha. Can you give us some experiences that you've had from some clairvoyantness or divine guidance? Or
I mean, I got out of some tricky situations that I just felt it was weird energy, and then I left, and then it got shot up or something like that.
Okay,
but that's like early on in life, or just like moments where, you know, like one of my closest friends going to school late one day. Actually, it goes into 2 stories too. Like this energy that I felt the first time that my homie got shot when I was in high school, and I showed up to school late that day too, and it was like this eerie energy. And I feel like most times where I feel that heaviness, something is happening, something's about to happen, and it's like this buzzing or like a woo type of feeling in my head and my like just feeling in my core. And then first person I talked to, I'm like, what's going on? And oh, Jamal got shot. And he was locker right next to mine and shit like that. Wow. So, or even more so, this other time where I was like late to school.
He got shot at school?
No, he got shot like in the area, not shot at school. Okay. But another time where I was late to school one day, and my homie had got into a fight the day before, and I'm like, oh, what's good with you? They're like, what happened? I heard you fought such and such yesterday. He's like, yep. Yeah, he lost. I lost, but I'm about to get him right now. I'm like, what you talking about? And he opened up his backpack. He had a big silver gun in there. Yeah. And I was like, oh shit. And he was like, yeah, so you might want to get up out of here. It's about to get crazy up here. And I was like, nah. And I was able to just talk to him. And I was about to walk away too, but I was able to talk to him and convince him. And we just did school that day, and I took him. We went to Baker's and just kicked it, and then we went our separate ways. But now that guy has like 3 kids and his own business, and we always talk about how if I would have let him do what he was going to do that day, and I felt it when I walked into the back of the school. I didn't talk to him like much till further I was gotten to the quad, but when it was very similar to that same feeling where I was just like, damn, something feel weird, you know? And I feel like that's one of those situations for sure. Or, you know, just feeling that type of energy. Like there's just something in the air really, in many situations in my life where I felt like something was about to happen and then it happened.
just like responding to that vibe, right?
Yeah, just trusting that too, not going against it and wiping it off like maybe I'm tripping or something like that. Like no, I don't really subscribe to that. Like if it feels weird, investigate it within yourself. You know what I'm saying? To understand where it's coming from, and that applies to many situations too. Just unpacking certain stuff, but as well. But the more I keep my mental open, I'm able to really see the signs that are right in front of me.
Yeah, and obeying to them, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's a trip because I always trip out. You mentioned your homie had the gun in the back, or the cat you were talking about, the gun in his bag. It always trips me out about the alternate timelines that could happen, right?
Yeah.
You know, and it could be something so simple as just turning left opposed to right can be so different.
There's many situations that I was this close to going a different way, you know. So, and I thank my angels every day that I was able to pivot from those instances that was close to me have my life go a different way. And also just knowing that from my community, just knowing that as I'm coming up and I don't know which way I'm going to go, but I'm very aware of the ways that are right in front of me to go, which is I could get into the streets, I could start trapping, I could start hustling, I could start flocking, I could start doing any of those things that I noticed so many of my friends fall victim to right in front of me, and choosing the opposite thing. And, you know, once I found music, trusting that and going into that, and then also as well having the discernment in music as well to do what's right for me. I could be a different type of artist. I could be a different, you know, just based on like those two stories I'm telling you in general is not a those are not isolated incidents. Those things happen all the time. You know what I mean? Like those kind of stuff happens all the time. For example, you know, I work at a local middle school, and I was talking to the COVID liaison at the time, and she's like, "Yeah, they got guns up there at Cajon and da da da." And for 2 seconds, I was shocked, like, "Oh my God, the kids got guns!" I'm like, "Wait a minute." Niggas had guns when I was there 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? They have them all the time, and that's what I mean. Like so many, you know, there's another kid every day who's seeing his homie every day, and there's a moment where somebody's strapped to school every day and nothing happens. You know what I'm saying? But the possibility is there.
Yeah.
And because of that not being like an isolated thing, that's what even more so lets me know that my point of view is more subscribed to me particularly, because I could be a different type of rapper based on those same type of circumstances and how I talk about them.
Facts.
So I choose to just talk about them in a way where I recognize what could have happened. I talk about the change or the juxtaposition, but more people are more subscribing to the side of rapping as the nigga who had the gun at the school, you know what I'm saying? Or the nigga who was the one who shot the homie, or the niggas who from the same hood as the hood that the homie got shot from, and that aspect. So I'm from this community in San Bernardino. I'm from the Northend as well, and I've seen the successes and I've seen the downfalls. And you know, I've had my successes and I've had my downfalls. You know, I'm not a perfect person either, but I feel like I've been able to create a life for myself with integrity that I'm proud of, and that I know at the bare minimum that what I'm trying to do is happening, which is I'm just trying to help other people deal with or heal from the situations that I had to deal with and heal from, and talking about those things. And the more that I become more self-aware within how I approach myself, how I approach my music, how I approach my mentality, and just grow as a person, my music will represent that. And the people who listen to that music, they will get a little bit of that as well. That's the intention.
And people need a different perspective.
Yeah.
People need to know. And thank you for giving people hope and perspective, because, you know, like you said, a lot of rappers want to do it from the perspective of, you know, I shot this person, I'm from this hood, as opposed to how many rappers are talking about, you know, I auditioned for the Lion King play.
Yeah.
Lion King musical. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And proud to say it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I feel like it's like I said, it's about what you do with it. It's about what you do with your perspective, because there's perspective of yourself, and then there's the perception of your reality, and then there's the reality. You know, everyone is the center, or is centered within their own perspective and perception. And if you're able to understand your perception and grow in your perspective, then you can create whatever you want for the reality, because there are people who are not trying to grow their perspective.
At all.
At all.
Yeah,
There's just not. And for those people, their testimony to what they're living and experiencing, that's their truth. And that's what it is, because that's who they are. That's not to say that it's good or bad, but that's just their truth.
Yeah.
But in that, you have to understand the reality of things, that one person's perspective is another person's perception. And that's what creates the certain quote unquote negative stereotypes, because these things perpetuate, death, death culture, rape culture, violent culture, misogynistic culture, you know what I'm saying? Like toxicity, like those things are highly palpable and very attractive. Like, I get it. I fuck with that shit too. You know what I'm saying? I went to the same school as y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm indoctrinated in the same shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But like I said, for every Doggy Style, for every The Chronic, you know what I'm saying? For every The Blueprint, you know what I'm saying? For all of these albums that are these placeholders in time of like, dog, I was living like that. Many people, let's just be honest, many people are not living like that. Many people are not living like that. Many people have the option to live a different type of way, and they choose to live that way because these songs become the soundtrack for that mentality. So it's about what you want to do with your perspective, what you know of your community, what you know of your space, and what you want to offer to that. You can either continue what you've experienced because you loved it and you want to keep it going, or you can do the difference. Jay-Z, when I was coming up, was big pimping and money cash hoes, and you know what I'm saying? Like,
I got
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, girls, all of that shit. Now he's a fucking married man who, when you look, and I always remember when he said, truthfully, I want to rhyme like Talib Kweli, but I sold 5 mil. Or no, he said, I want to rap like Common Sense, but I sold 5 mil. I ain't been rapping like Common Sense. I feel like that, you know what I'm saying? Or even when I watched his documentary when he was retiring the first time from on the Black album, when he was in the studio with the dude, and he's like, the dude was like, I want to rap about my life, like shit I go through, but niggas don't want to hear that. They want to hear about what's going on in the streets. And Jay-Z sits and he's like, see what y'all doing to artists? Like, you got artists who don't want to express themselves because they believe that you can only be successful, or what only works, or what's only real if it's this, if it's violent, if it's aggressive, if it's hood, if it's street, if it's hard. Those things are successful. Those things do have their successes, but that's not the only thing that can be successful. It's not the only thing. No. So, and I feel like if you look at a rapper like that now, somebody like a Jay-Z whose growth has been exponential from the beginning. I love Rockefeller Records, one of the best record labels I ever got the chance to experience as a fan. That made me a real fan. Like, I'm not the kind of person or rapper who has an issue with being a fan of somebody. I'm not a too cool type person where I'm a rapper too, so I can't be showing too much love and dick riding. Like, fuck that.
That's weird.
Yeah, I like being a fan of things. Yeah. Like, being a fan of rap and hip hop is what made me want to be a rapper in the first place. But if I'm spending all my time, like I said, with that competitive mindset of like, oh, I can't be a fan of this nigga because he a rapper too, and I don't want to, like, no, fuck that. Like, some of my best songs I ever made was because I told somebody, like, I'm a fan of your music, and we worked. But it's about your perspective more than anything. If you could grow and change like Hov did to be a married man, like, it's good.
Yeah, going back to that, I think that's weird as fuck.
What? That,
people were like, I'm a rapper, or I'm an artist, or I'm a ball player, so I can't appreciate other people in the industry because that'll make me weak. I guess that's probably the mindset.
I don't really get it. Or people who just like, oh, I'm a dick rider or whatever. Like, it's weird. Like, it's weird. Be a fan. Like things. Like, it's crazy that you want people to be a fan of you, but you can't be fans of other people. And then as well, back to what I was saying about like the growth and the perspective of a rapper over time period. You may start off speaking a testimony to the streets and what you came from, but as you find success in that and you cultivate that and you see how some people aren't just learning from your shit, as Jay-Z said, like, I ain't tell you to do crack, to sell crack. Hov did that, so hopefully you have to go through that. He said that, but niggas not listening. They like, oh, Jay-Z sold crack, I'm gonna sell crack too, like, and I'll be a kingpin just like him. No, you're gonna go to jail. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect,
It's just-
but you gonna
it's-
go to jail because you're
period.
stupid. You know,
Period.
like because niggas is dumb. When he
Period.
says your alibis ain't matching up, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they recode that vehicle. Shit was all good just a week ago.
Uh-oh.
Like that's the story he be telling, but people don't listen to that because they only like the glorification of stuff. So it's
Period.
more so about for the listener to understand your perception of things and know that this is not always reality.
Yeah.
So understand, take that with a grain of salt, so it doesn't affect your perspective, so that you're not walking around life trying to be Beanie Siegel
Facts.
all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
And that's just my examples of my time period, what I learned from the artists that I love the most, and then me finding myself being a rapper and noticing my impact on others. Where I'm like, okay, these people are picking up what I'm putting out and they're applying it to themselves. So with that, what am I about to apply? What am I going to offer? And what am I going to give? If I want to give more of the same because I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that, then go ahead and do that. But know what that comes with. If you want to offer more than what you've experienced as well, know what that comes with as well, because it does, either side of it comes with a pressure in some kind of way. But it's just about, I feel like it's just about growth.
I also think it's about like people's level of consciousness. I don't know if you believe in that, but like,
No, definitely.
Yeah, some people can kind of catch things on different wavelengths and stuff like that.
Yeah. I feel like even growing the global consciousness as well. Like we're individuals that are all a part of one whole entity. So, you know, I remember watching this like study on ID one time, and they're like, you know, they taught apes and primates on like one side of the globe how to get the ants or whatever out with the stick. They taught that, right? Mm-hmm. And then they went to the other side of the globe and they were tracking how long it took for that information to make it from this ecosystem to the next, and it just passes. And we're the same exact way. We're just giving information out.
Yeah.
So as we give information out, people apply it, and that becomes the global consciousness. It's almost the same thing as like when you're in a closed off room and things get excited and shit like that, and then you're just in the you know, you're mixed up in it, you know, that hive mind kind of thing. So if we, you know, what you offer as an artist as well, for the artist, like what you offer contributes to the global consciousness. So what do you want to give? Like, how do you want to be remembered? I was just listening to this thing on Audible with Mos Def Yasin Bey.
Okay.
And he was talking about how, you know, he just wanted to offer something greater to the cosmic situation that we're in, you know? And I feel like I really subscribe to that, because I just want to think bigger than myself, you know what I mean? Thinking bigger than yourself often starts with thinking small, you know, because we're all just one part of a bigger thing. So what you can do in a small increment, if you apply that and people can learn from that, then we can all do it, and then it's a big impact, and it adds to the global consciousness of things. So I hope that I'm able to assist in that way, but I definitely do understand that I am, as an artist, with the kind of music that I'm making, it is, whether I like it or not, in competition with other music that's the complete opposite of that. And so I feel blessed that I have songs that can be played in certain soundscapes that are right next to your favorite Future song and shit. I love Future. I listen to that shit all the time.
Yeah.
But I just know what's for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you stay in your lane.
Yeah.
You know, that thing you mentioned about, you know, I guess cosmic role, and, you know, you mentioned a lot about higher being and angels. So, and then I believe you got angels tattooed on your forearm right there. So do you believe in a higher being? Do you believe in things? What's your belief system as far as stuff like that?
My belief system is definitely growing, but I do believe in something greater than us.
Okay.
I feel like we all feel it. We all see it. We just don't know how to describe it. And it's been described in a multitude of ways. And whatever works for your spiritual path, so that you can be more in tune with more in tune with the nature of man, more in tune with the nature of woman, more in tune with the nature of nature, more in tune with the nature of our cosmic presence. Like, we are a planet, you know what I'm saying? In alignment with other planets. So I feel like I believe in something greater than myself. I know that there is something bigger than us that connects all of us. I'm not so much of a nihilist to think that none of it means anything. I think that we all, I think that we all are connected, and my existence relies on other people's existence as well. So,
Gotcha. Do you believe you're on your purpose? You're on your right purpose?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Okay. I got you there for a second.
No.
Okay.
I just took the moment to reflect.
Yeah,
I just took the moment to reflect and look into myself. But I feel like that I've said on songs that I feel like I'm already walking in my legacy. I'm at this point now in my life where I'm looking at it, where I'm having conversations with my homie. My birthday on Tuesday. I'm turning 34, and I started this rapping anyway as Cam Gnarly. Or had it been like
16 years?
Yeah, like maybe like 2000. I think the first release is 2012, 2011 as Cam Gnarly. But I was doing music before that under a different name. And then, like I said, I've been singing in the choir since I was a little kid. And I just think about my entire life up until this point and how it's all brought me to this point today. To just sit here and talk about it today, where it's like, damn, and I'm still actively doing it, still actively moving. Living it. And, I was actually last night. There was a forum, a panel, and the gentleman Curtis King was on there, and he said that I think someone was asking him a question about, how does he look back on his career or something to that effect, because he's an artist who pivoted from being a performing artist and then pivoting to more of like a YouTube space and working in that way to help artists and producers. But something he said was like, you'll be talking about your early years of your, or your come up for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? Because your story
part of your story.
It's a part of your story, and people want to know your story because what you're doing actively as you're living it, they want to know how you got there.
Yeah.
So, I used to feel like, oh, like why I got to talk about this shit's old,
Yeah.
But now I look at it now as how it all culminated and connected to bring me here every day. So I can definitely say I'm walking my legacy. I'm living in it, and I'm not running from it. And I'm not being chased by it.
Smart.
I'm, my mother used to tell me that a lot. She used to say, she would say, chase your dreams. Don't let your dreams chase you. And then she's like, because you need to set out time for what you need to do. So, you shouldn't be running after anything. Like, you should be keeping a steady stride and a good pace in what you're trying to do. So I'm confident in that I'm doing that. I feel peace and balance in my life. Not all things are perfect. And this is a testimony to just me as well, to look back on when I look back on this camera in the year 34 in 2 days and to say, life isn't always perfect. And, there's been all kinds of ups and downs and twists and turns and frustrating moments and daunting moments in this year alone. But when I look right now and I know that I still have my family, my friends, my loved ones, my lovers, people that I'm deeply connected with on so many different levels that I can't even say here, that I'm blessed and I'm happy to say that music and continuing that pathway from a little boy to now has brought me here.
Amen.
So yeah.
Good to hear that. Yeah. Really good to hear that. Cam, you mentioned that you're a good freestyler, right?
Yeah, sometimes.
Right?
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
okay.
Sometimes. When I be fucking around.
It's changing a little bit over time.
No, I wouldn't say I am a good freestyler, but it's more of like it's an energy thing,
Got you.
When I'm tapped in to the moment, when I'm feeling that energy in the moment, where I'm able to, I feel like what makes a good freestyle is your ability to take what's happening in the room around you, in the space around you, and create something that's impromptu right then. You know? So with that being said, like when there's more to draw from, I'm really in it. When there's not so much and I just have to go off my own thoughts, it's not as good, me personally. But that's one of the facets of my creative process. Yeah.
I got you. So Cam, we do like to do a thing here on the Empire. If I kick a beat for you, will you give us a little freestyle?
I really don't want to. If I'm gonna come clean, I don't feel like freestyling right now. But maybe
no pressure. This is the first no we've got, by the way, folks.
Is it really the first no?
It is.
Damn. Is that one of those things like, oh, I'm a rapper, I got a freestyle?
Even keep your crown right. She even can't think of her name right now. So
Amanda Jade.
Amanda Jade gave us a freestyle too.
Off the top of the dome,
Off
she
the
gave
top
one?
of the dome.
All right,
Shout
I'll
out
go.
to you, Amanda.
I'll give her. I'll give.
But
yeah.
no pressure. Man.
How you gonna kick a beat? You gonna like bust a beat?
Yeah.
You gonna like
I'm gonna give
like
you
that?
a beat. I'm not gonna
type
take
way?
my phone out.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Are you gonna get your phone out?
No.
Oh, you're gonna.
If I kick a beat,
You're
will
gonna
you
beatbox
freestyle?
a beat.
If I kick you a beat, will you freestyle?
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Why not?
Yeah. Nope. You don't have to if you don't want to.
No, if Amanda did it, I'll do it. That's my
you
dog.
hear that, Amanda?
That's my dog. If Amanda did it, I'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No using lyrics from the phone though.
No. I'm gonna use lyrics. I'm gonna use lyrics whatever I got. Whatever I got. Yeah.
All right. So you down to hit a freestyle with us?
Yeah. If the beat's good, let's go. I'll give you something.
Freestyle session commence.
It's crazy. This is exactly how I used to freestyle with the homies too in the back of the car. Hey, I'm in the Garcia Center, center of attention. Feel like a winner. Feel like a winner. Used to be a sinner. Now I'm in the thinner, beginner. No novice, I am no beginner. Take it to a higher center. Higher level consciousness. Push it to the precipice. Who gonna press the button on this? Yeah, we never quit. Yeah, we top tier. Nigga, don't ever diss. Yeah, don't try to dismiss. We is not this. You is not this. And you knows this. And you sees too. Transparent, you is see through. You couldn't see what a sea do. You probably drown in them boys in the sea doos. And I know the blues. I know all the different types of hues. Shout out to Langston Hughes because shit, I done had some weary blues. I stay on my twos. Pivot shooting free throws. I meant to say the free throws, but you know how it goes. It's just some freestyles. I'm good with that. W freestyle, I'll take that.
Thank you, Cam. Thank you,
You're
Cam.
welcome, man. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Shout out to Amanda Jane. Wouldn't have did it if you didn't do it, Amanda.
Man, you hear that, Amanda?
Because I'm proud of her. That's my own girl. I've for years been telling her that she's an amazing artist. So if you got her to freestyle and she did it, because I've been on her head for many times about doing it. So I did that. Yeah.
Got you. Thank you for sharing. You know,
fun. I actually haven't done a freestyle cipher with somebody busting a beat like that in a long time, so that is fun. I used to be the guy who would bust the beat just to get people to rap so I could rap. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, good tempo, good job.
Yeah. Thank you.
Dougie Fresh be proud. Good job.
Hey,
good job.
Dougie.
Yeah.
Do the Dougie. Thank you, man. You know, hip hop is very strong in my life. So yeah, people don't do beatbox anymore. People don't do ciphers like that no more.
Well, you know, hip hop is different. It's about like I said, the growth and the elements of hip hop have changed. You know, if you're not doing the three elements anymore, you could be spinning on your head or doing graffiti and stuff like that. People wouldn't look at that as hip hop necessarily anymore. That's more so looked at as old school hip hop or something like that. We're in more so now where it's not just hip hop culture, because hip hop is so all encompassing. It's been adapted and changed so much since its incubation that now we're in the space of like rap culture and we're in the space of like black culture, and it's hard to say what's what anymore because that's just a part of the kind of things that black people create. It gets monetized, it gets capitalized, it gets spread around, you know what I'm saying? So in that regard, you know, I'm just from that particular age that I understand that. But I'm sure if I was 21, 22 and you started doing that shit, I'd be 16. Like, yeah. Like, are you crazy? I'm about to rap to you, busting no boop, boop, boop. That's it,
no,
you know?
That's no trap beat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I'd say. So,
but I think, I think a problem, especially unfortunately with black community and black arts, is that we don't know our foundation enough. We don't know the roots enough. Keep the roots in the culture.
We don't value our culture enough. Yeah, personally, we feel like I feel like because of how it's seen and portrayed, that your ideas, your community, and stuff like that can be so easily quantified by somebody who isn't of it and from it, and it's taken and people like it. People don't value it as much. I was just watching the thing with I was watching Vince Staples talk about that same thing, where it's just like, we rappers are the only ones always trying to give away some free shit. Like, we always gotta convince people to listen to music or some shit to give away something for free. But none of these big businesses and stuff like that are giving nothing away for free. Nothing.
They're taking more, actually.
Yeah, exactly. So, I feel like there needs to be more of a value on what we offer and what you offer as an artist and your story as well. This shit is not light. It's not light for you to understand your experience. It's not light for you to be able to quantify what you've gone through and grown through to create some type of product that is close to yourself and who you are, and for people to have the belief that people will buy into that. Like, you have to trust in that as well. If that's what you want, you like some type of fiscal gratification or and everybody deserves money for their art and to be paid for what they offer. Yeah. But I feel like
value.
Yeah, the value of things is so squandered that people don't really recognize how valuable what they do and what they have is. One of my favorite things, I think I say it on this project, or if not, it's going to be on an upcoming project, where ghetto is a gift. Mm-hmm. And I used to, especially growing up between IE and LA, where I would be in LA with my LA cousins, and they'd be like, "Oh, you talk white," because I went to a different school system, you know what I'm saying? Or I come from LA to the Inland Empire, and they're like, "Oh my God, you so loud and you ghetto," and I felt like I used to feel like so weird, like out of place. But now I look at it and I'm just like, my unique experience is what makes my voice what it is today, and so much of that. I feel like you see some of my favorite offerings of hip hop are probably some of the most ghetto-ish shit, and ghetto is a gift because it's like soul food, you know what I mean? It was the scraps, it was the shit that they was giving us, it was the redlining, it was all of that stuff that made the worst circumstances, and we still found joy, we still found grace in it, and we still found a way to smile and laugh and dance in our own slang and languages, and we've been doing that shit forever, and we'll continue. And those spaces where the some of the truest forms of our black culture is incubated is unfortunately in the worst circumstances. Yeah. And, if you can understand that and you can get that without judgment and understand the value of what in your life was ghetto in your history, that's what's going to make your story. Facts. And the people who can understand that, the people who didn't have nothing, who was eating syrup sandwiches like me and mine's, or what I'm saying? Like, we didn't have nothing, but that is a gift when you're able to take nothing and turn it into everything you need.
Yeah, so. It's funny. It reminds me of syrup sandwiches. Remind me, my mom used to give us hot dog, but with like regular bread. Yeah. Like what happened to the hot dog bunch? Like, boy, bread.
I didn't even. That's what I'm saying. Bread is bread. A hot dog bun is crazy. Like, we did not. We was not. You gotta put it vertically, right? You can't put the bread like right in the middle of split. You gotta bend it. You gotta put it right at the corners and eat like that. So, but I completely understand. Like, like I said, I was raised with my grandmother, she raised 10 kids and then raised all her 10 kids. Damn. So I can definitely say, I seen top ramen be stretched every day. I was eating butter toast every day with my grandmother, and we didn't have eggs and bacon money and stuff like that. When you're feeding a lot of people, you got to stretch things to make it work. And, there's certain situations and circumstances that I'm able to make it through life now with all the abundance that I have, because I know what it's like having nothing, and I still found joy then. So when I'm investing in myself and spending my last dime on some shit, or I'm down to my last couple because I put money into this, I think about how happy I was when I had $5 and some friends. Yeah, thinking about how good it felt when I didn't have no money, but at least I got to kick it with my cousins for the day. Fact. Until till the money came back around, and not having money to go eat or nothing like that, but just making peanut butter and jelly, top ramen, syrup sandwiches, what I'm saying, like butter toast, like that's what I mean, like having joy and abundance from just the most menial circumstances, and still finding joy. Like that's what really keeps me grounded and understanding where I come from, is that some of the most ghettoest stuff, where somebody who's had everything their whole life ain't gonna understand that this is a gift. Your ability to enjoy this hot dog bun hot dog, you know what I'm saying? Or no hot dog bun on a regular piece of bread.
Yeah.
And that memory being connected to your mother and all that, that's a blessing. That's a joy, you know, as opposed to a mother or father who you had all the hot dog buns in the world, but you didn't have your family with you and have people around you to be there for you. That's what's going to matter the most.
Different perspectives. Yeah. Different lifestyles.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, and you were close.
I almost got his ass.
Talk about the fly still,
yeah,
folks.
We here.
You know, we were talking about, you know, most Black culture not knowing the history. And in your freestyle right now, you mentioned Langston Hughes.
Yeah,
right? A lot of people might be like, what's that, like a banana company or something? You know, and so it's wild. But I wanted to ask you, Cam, what's something that most people don't know about you?
I mean, I found a lot of stuff people don't know about me, but
something that you would like to share with us.
Something that I would like to share that most people don't know about me. I think Digimon's better than Pokemon. No,
okay, wow, that's a new one.
I don't even know. I feel like probably the most
digital monsters.
Yeah, way better. But I don't know. I guess probably the most recent thing that most people are learning that I work in education. I used to really keep that a lot more separate from my music aspect. But something that people don't know about me. I feel like there's a lot. It's like how do I tell somebody something they don't know? Something they don't know.
Just jump in the bag, man.
I'm trying to, give me a moment to think. Something that people don't know about me. I don't know. I can't think of nothing.
Gotcha. He's like, there's so much, but I can't
there's
think
so much. It's like there's so much. It's like I can tell you like some random.
Go ahead.
Fact or whatever.
Let's go random fact.
Ooh, what's something? I want to say something cool. Let me think of something cool because I can say
it's
something.
Okay. It could be anything.
It might be. Yeah.
It could be anything, man.
I think.
You'd be like, I like the color orange, you know, whatever. It could be anything, man.
Okay, I feel like, but people know I like the color orange. I've actually legitimately said orange is my favorite color right now.
Wow.
Some of the people don't know. If you don't know, I started my locks myself.
Okay.
So I never. I've only had my homegirl like do one retwist for me. Shout out to my homegirl Sandria Wrights. But I started my locks myself in 2015. I actually just happened. It was a hot summer day, and I got out the shower. I had it a little natural like yourself, and it was tapered on the sides. And I didn't like dry my hair, and I went to sleep, and I woke up, and like some of the back the hair started like locking up, and then from there I just started twisting my own hair. So yeah, my locks I've twisted myself. I manage my own locks.
Nice.
So I'll definitely say that I never had nobody do my hair for me. Shout out to Amanda though. She does tighten me up with the lineups and the edge ups and all that.
Shout out
Keep
to
your crown right, you know. But definitely all this lock work is me.
Cool.
Yeah. So,
see,
I don't know if people know that. People don't know that.
There we go. They just learned today.
I did that. Learned that today.
Yeah. You know, and this is really going to get in because, you know, you're in the music, and I would say you're in the music business, right?
Yeah.
So what does monetizing your music mean to you, making money doing this? And would you ever consider leaving education, making enough money if you made enough money doing this? And so does all those questions make sense?
Say one more time. You said, what does it mean to make money?
So being an artist.
Yes.
How is it getting monetized?
Okay.
Your thoughts on making money doing it?
Mm-hmm.
And would you ever consider doing it full time and leaving education?
That's a good question. How's it being monetized is a good question because it's being monetized in a way like I make my money off of streaming. I've made money off of advances before for projects with other media like third parties and stuff like that, finding ways to package the release with a third party so that it's me, the distributor, and someone who wants to back the project itself. Yeah. So that's ways that I've monetized in music before. Monetization really in the physical sense, for real, like always having products. So t-shirts, hats. I've sold T-shirts. I've sold hats. I've sold bags. I've sold stickers, CDs, cassettes. And I keep that stuff on me. I got a box of it in the trunk right now. There's been times I've been out to eat with my girls, seen a homie. My girl's wearing the hoodie. The homies on a date. We leave the restaurant at the same time. I make $200 off them just buying hoodies and stuff in the parking lot before we leave. So, in that aspect, that happening periodically over time, like very often, putting myself in situations, like I said, I throw events and stuff like that. So often I'll have merch booth available every show that I have, as well. That's another way of monetizing music, getting paid for shows. Really, also understanding the value that I offer as a performing artist as well. That I'm not just I'm not just a rapper who's going to be on the show who doesn't have music out. I'm not just a rapper who's going to be on the show that doesn't have merch to sell. I'm not just a rapper who's on there who's not going to give you like a very solid performance. So with that being said, I know my value in this aspect, that I'm not only am I adding value to your show as a performing artist, a performing act that's going to be solid and be able to truly perform his music and not like quote unquote like rapping over my lyrics or something like that. I'm truly performing. And then as well, I'm adding validity to the events that I'm at because I'm selling merchandise there. I'm vending my merchandise there, and then I have and then that I have quality products on hand that are a representation of my quote unquote branding and packaging as well. So that's another way to monetize as well. So shows, recording, and product. And then also, knowing your value as an artist. Once you've gotten yourself out there enough times and people are starting to hit you up and come to your door and ask you, can you get on this, or I want to work with you and stuff like that, having the discernment to say, having discernment to know who to work with for free and who to work and who to have pay you for your services as well. You have a life to live as well. So I feel like that's a juncture that I found myself in working education. It's paid me very well for what I do. I make a good amount of money, and then even more so having that money to invest in the arts. One of my greatest prayers for a long time was that I just hope I can find a job that I can invest, that will help me invest in my artistic endeavors. So for me, it's never, I've had instances in my life where I was just doing music only. You know what I'm saying? Like, and making it happen. I didn't have as much, but I was doing it only. But when I found myself in a space where I was like, for what I want in my life on a personal note, I need more money. It's not even just about my artistic expression. If I want to be, I've done that, and I salute the artists that are still living in that aspect. But I have a certain quality of life that I like to live, so that just requires me to have a job sometimes. And ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with having a job as long as your job isn't taken away from your art. If your job is taking so much of your time that you can't do your art, then get another job. Find another job, because that job will replace you like nothing, and you won't hear nothing about it. And I've been there many times where I showed up to work, no car, taking a bus on a bike, and only to be told that we don't need you no more. So with that being said, keep that in mind when you're creating your business structure for yourself, because you can't fire yourself. And they can't fire you. You're gonna make this music. People will either buy into it and support it, support your product, support your process, support your performances, or they just won't support you at all. So with that being said, you can have a job and maintain it. If things continue the way that I want them to go, and I'm able to have more situations where I'm not my primary investor in the things that I want to do and the things that I create, because it's funded by me. Like, I'm budgeting my lifestyle and that I'm accustomed to, as well as making sure that I'm budgeting enough or garnering enough funding so that I can have my ideas come to fruition the way that I want them to, without having to cut corners and without having to not exercise or execute the way that I want to. So I don't know. I can definitely say that the present job that I'm in right now, they are, to a degree, they're supportive. They know what I do.
Nice.
So maybe not so much all the way up in HR. They may know. Actually, they may actually know in HR. But on the ground floor at the school I work at, like, I remember, there's certain stuff that just, I can't hide, like it's popular and,
Yeah.
and they're seeing it and it happens, the kids find it on their TikTok For You pages because they like rap and they find me. Or one of my music videos was featured in a film festival at this big theater in Upland or something like that, and the principal of the school that I work at just happened to be there supporting one of her family members. She like, hey, that's what I'm saying, like, so I'm blessed that I've always known that my ability to make music helps me connect with the youth in that way when I'm talking to them, because they're like, you're different, you seem like a different kind of teacher, and I'm like, yeah, because I'm not just your teacher, nigga, I'm a rapper, like, so I can definitely approach it in a different way, and also because I'm from the city that these kids are growing up in, so many of their experiences, I'm like, I'm not glorifying nothing. If we talk, it may come up, but I'm never like, telling them the dirt that I did, trying to get them to connect with me in that way. It's just more so about my reception to what I hear that they're experiencing, and I'm able to say, this is what's gonna happen, or I've been there before, and stuff like that, and then if we're just talking, I'll be like, yeah, I fought somebody right there too, and I was a long time ago, but that don't matter, you know what I'm saying? So with that, if music continues to grow the way that it has, and my musical reputation precedes me in that way, I welcome that. I welcome that possibility of just doing music only, like I done at a different time. But I pray that I'm able to maintain the lifestyle, the quality of life that I have presently with with what I want to do musically, because I feel like everybody outside of music, everybody deserves a livable wage.
Period.
So with that being said, like if you're an artist, I want artists. If you're primarily just an artist and you don't work and have another job, or you don't have the ability to, because I know that's a skill set, being able to code switch to go between working here and doing your musical works there. Some people can't do both, and that's completely fine. But I hope that everyone is able to understand their value and get with their value, and even more so, I'm starting to recognize too, because it's growing and changing on me too, like as I continue to do music and release things, and my musical reputation precedes me, and things get bigger, and numbers and draws get bigger. I'm noticing, I had an opportunity recently to do something. Someone asked me to do a song, and I gave them a price point, and they didn't agree with the price point. They allotted to pay me like triple times that, and it made me take a step back, and I was like, okay, I'm not valuing myself the same way my perception is being valued. Yeah. So that goes back to what we were talking about. I was like, okay, I have to shift my perspective on myself to align with whatever the perception is, so that I can shift that as well. Because if I can find the balance between my perspective and their perception, I can shape the reality. So that
yesterday's price is not today's
exactly price. And not even and it wasn't not in a boastful way of someone having to tell me. It was just a situation where I was like, oh,
wow,
they're willing to pay more. Okay, well then. Now everyone's paying more.
Period.
You know what I'm saying?
Period.
And not in I'm not gonna I don't got a grandstand or grandstand about it or anything like that. I'm more of a subtle person. So in that aspect, I'm gonna continue to have the discernment to know how to work with people and who I want to work with, and sometimes that comes with working within the budget of what they have.
Yeah,
because and you got to pay it forward for the times that people worked with me with the budget that I had. You know what I'm saying? And and I break bread with people, and it don't always. And for artists trying to like who gets discouraged when you hear that question of someone ask you, "What's your budget?" I've been there before when you don't have much of a budget, you know what I'm saying? But offer what you think you can give over time, and be communicative about what your circumstance is. Like you don't have to overshare, but say you only make you say you only make $500 a week or some shit like that, and the price point at what you got to pay for is $500. Ask them if you could pay $250. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Thug it out for those 2 weeks or whatever, and then make invest in yourself in increments though. But people get discouraged, especially when you're a young broke artist, but you want to create quality stuff, or you have a quality idea, or either that or figure it out or make it yourself. You know what I'm saying? But in that aspect, like, and I know it's getting a little away from the question, but that's what creates what I would feel comfortable with stepping away from.
Okay.
Am I in a space where the money that I'm making off of music is able enough to have a livable wage and also have the amount that I can allocate the money into investing in my ideas, or will I need help? And if I need help, then me personally, the kind of person I am, and with the parents that I had and the legacy of community that I had, I'm gonna go get a job, so I can invest in myself, so I can have some money to feel good, and get a haircut, get some clothes, and that kind of thing. But if I can't do those things, and if I can't do those things, and I'm more comfortable just thugging it out and going that artistic route, I found myself, I definitely was doing that like early in my 20s and stuff like that. Like that's what I was doing. And then maybe it makes more sense when you're younger, but as you grow up and life starts happening and your homies are they, it's drinks today or a wedding today or a baby shower today and stuff like that, you got to live, you know what I'm saying?
Facts.
But also in that, just don't lose sight of the mission, like you got to know what's right for you within your purpose so that this job don't become your purpose. So so don't get burnt out at any job. And like I said, if you find yourself in that space, find a new job.
Period.
It's so many jobs out there, remote jobs as well. I'm a 2-job shorty right now. I do 2 different jobs. Not only do I do work for this school district out here in San Bernardino, but I'm a teaching artist for the Boyle Heights Arts Conservatory. So I teach. I teach music, or not even so much teach music, but I counsel young artists in songwriting and recording and music production at a probation center in San Dimas and in Boyle Heights, and at a park program in Monrovia. So I do that as well as an artist. So there are opportunities out there for artists to be an artist, to be paid to be an artist, and help the up and coming artists. Just do your research and find it. But if I could, for example, because that's been very lucrative for me as well. So if I found myself in a space where the money in being creative was outweighing the money in education, I probably would spend the time being creative. But because I've spent so much time like educating the youth and working in youth services, I probably always do a little bit of something like that. I was embedded in that in my lifestyle and my family. So whether I like it or not, I got nieces and nephews, and I'm going to always be an educator in some sense, because once you're doing that and you understand what the impact of connecting with the youth, and I can't tell you the joy I feel when a kid I knew him when he was 13 and he writing raps on the lunch table, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool, bro, you keep doing that. And then they find me later and they're a fan of the music, and they're hitting me up like, bro, listen to this song I made. I learned how to do layers from listening to your music, or I want to come to your shows. Like that to me is those full circle moments where it's bigger than just me being a rapper and they like, because that's very like, I say this sometimes because my girl's a tattoo artist and she has clients, you know what I'm saying? Like she did the angels on my arm, and I'll be like, you do something that's permanent, so every time they see it, they remember who did it. You know what I'm saying? For me, I don't have clients. I have a fan base, and fans are finicky. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like.
Fickle.
Yeah, it's there's another word I'm trying to say.
I know exactly what you mean.
But you know what I'm saying? It's
they can fall and drop.
Yeah, it's passe. They can fall and drop. You know what I'm saying? So in that aspect, your ability to impact people on a personal level more than just them liking your song is what really creates that connection of something that people want to buy into. And when you're able to cultivate that with 100 people, and you get 100 people to spend $100 on you, then ask yourself, do I want to quit my job?
Yeah.
But if you're not at that space yet where you feel like you're not, or that you don't feel like you're connecting in that way where you can have that type of stability and create a core fan base, because once you do that 100, then you got to do 500. Then once you do the 500, then you got to do 1,000.
Yeah.
And when you're able to recognize, that's what these big artists, the Justin Biebers and everyone else, they know that their fan base is tapped in with them, so they don't have to do nothing else. You know what I'm saying? Because their voice is that big, and their connection is that deep. So I would suggest knowing that before you do that, because there's nothing wrong with having a job.
Not at all.
Yeah, not at all.
Not at all. I was gonna ask about record labels, but I'm gonna move forward.
Yeah.
You've rubbed shoulders with many A-list celebrities and artists, especially rappers. What have you learned from them? What's some of the most important things you learned from them?
Not sound cliche, but just not to quit, not to give up. The difference between, and I feel like I've said this before too, but I'm gonna quote Nipsey, because the most prominent one to give that information is the difference between me and somebody else that's trying to do this same thing is that I haven't quit, that I didn't quit. I may have not been as successful at a certain other time, but I didn't quit. And I just saw this other little visual meme or whatever where, you know, you may have only had 2 people at your event, but it happened. You know what I'm saying? You may have the pictures that you posted may have been a little pixelated and not perfect, but you posted them. You may have your song may still need a little bit of work on the mix or whatever, but you put it out. There are a number of people who are more concerned with how it looks, how it sounds, and what other people are going to think that stop them from doing what it is that they truly want to do. Mm-hmm. And as an artist and as a creative, you know the real difference between me and somebody else is the fact that I'm just still willing to try. I'm still willing to fail publicly. I'm still willing to be cringe and not be perfect every time. For example, that song, I Don't Play Bout You, is a completely different sound, scape, delivery, sonic than any other music that I've ever put out. So arguably, there's nothing that would tell me that it's going to be a success because I have nothing to measure it from, to be like, oh, I did this before and it works. Yeah. I don't have that. So, but I'm confident in something enough in myself to say, I like this. This is hard. Me and my friends like this. I'm going to put it out. And I trust that there are people out there that are like me. So, you know, to be in that mindset is to just to know that, and to be around more artists that I've seen have those moments. I remember I was a fan of Drake before I got to open up for him. I remember listening to Brand New, like when I was like a freshman, maybe like a junior in high school, because I was a big Lil Wayne fan, and you found Drake because of Lil Wayne. Mm-hmm. I used to be watching Degrassi and telling homies like, that's him, bro. That's crazy. Yeah. Like, you know, he's on a TV show. And I remember being boggled because at the time, everything in hip hop would be telling me that a TV show actor, child star, is not the best scenario to be the biggest rapper in the world. Yeah. That is going to get you laughed at. You know what I'm saying? That is not, especially in the music that was being made at the time when Lil Wayne is the biggest rapper, which is like arguably like one of the most quintessential like street drug type rappers ever. What about that is going to make Drake or someone who likes Drake from Degrassi think that that's about to be the number, you know what I'm saying? That's going to be popularized. And he's singing. Like, and I'm using him as an example and Nipsey as an example. And the same thing when I saw, you know, seeing Drake do that show in San Bernardino when he was just doing So Far Gone, and me believing even back then, like, this guy's going to be huge, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't the best performance. It wasn't a perfect performance. He was still doing that thing when he used to do with the hand up and shit. But to see the growth of that now and watch what he's doing now with like the For All the Dogs and all that kind of stuff. And the same thing with seeing Kendrick and the things that I learned just from observation of watching him. Like he did this thing one time when we opened up for him at the Glass House, and he like pointed out this one fan who was looking away while he was performing. Like she was looking away, and he was like, "Hey, you!" Like everybody point at her. It's like, and it's like, and say this and said the phrase, and then just seeing everybody like, you know, his control of a room was crazy back then in the Glass House. I don't remember, maybe it was like 800 people, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, so to see that, and then just recently go to see him on the Mr. Morale tour at the Staples, you know, and to see the presentation of what that became, you know? And so how would these men be able to experience what it looks like on the other side if they would have believed that at the moment was the best that they could do? So that's what I learned more than anything from opening up for those type of artists and seeing what they do. To this day, I still listen to Currency. I'm still listening to what he does and learning from the game he offers, to Dom Kennedy's, the Drakes, the Kendricks. Like I'm in a particular space that I at least was able to open up for these people. So I'm, to a certain degree, I'm connected to certain people's memories of their favorite artists. But these are my memories too of these favorite artists, and I was able to just share the stage and soak up the game, and then years later and be able to say like, oh damn, you know, like I learned from that. So those are some of the things I picked up.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Cam, I want to thank you for being on The Empire, man. Let's say 100 years pass by, 250 years pass by. What would you like your empire to look like, whether it's in education, music, lifestyle, being from San Bernardino? what would you like your empire to look like?
I think you said a little bit of it right then. Like I think what I want my empire to look like is the things that I represent and the things that I hold true to myself that make me authentic. So I want that to be a representation of the gold that is in the Inland Empire. That what we have to offer being literally so far left from the big shining lights of Los Angeles, and being able to cultivate some of the most ambitious, stylish, eclectic, and different type of art forms, such a melting pot out here. So I want my legacy to be a representation of that. I want my legacy to be a representation of educating people about their mentalities, about how to shift your mindset to something that is to your benefit and to your betterment, and not just to you on a personal level, but as you deepen your understanding of your personal mindset, you're able to recognize how what you go through, everyone is experiencing as well. So how you balance yourself and heal yourself is how you can in turn heal your community and the people around you. So I want that to be a part of my legacy as well. And then just to be remembered fondly by the people that I impacted in a good way, in a bad way, like just to just so that just thinking, and I really haven't thought 250 years into the future, because I probably got maybe just I really only want about 80 on this motherfucker for real. But outside of that, I hope that my music continues to precede me in the physical form, and I hope that people are able to, as I continue to live my life, find even more takeaways and things to have those dialogue conversations, to be like, oh, that's about this, or this is from that, or he, from when he did this. Like, I want the music to continue to connect with people and to help their personal growth and their healing and their knowledge of self, same way it helped me. It helped me to make it, for real. So if you can take something from it that helps you, then my job is done. And I hope that it continues to do its job, for sure.
Yeah, I love that.
Thanks.
Love that. Cam, thank you again for being on The Empire.
Thank
Can you
you,
please tell everybody how they can find you, reach you, support you, pay you your value for your project? Can you please let everybody know where they can do that?
You can find me, see me, support me, and pay my value. Primarily, you can go to camgnarly.com. That's where you can find all updates for new music, upcoming shows. You can buy merchandise on there, and you can just join the email list on there so that you can know what's going on and find more ways to be supportive, even if you're thousands of miles away. Shout out to my homies in Portugal who I work with, and shout out to my homies in Vietnam who helped me out. Like, there's a lot of people who are a part of my team that you're helping their creative endeavors as well. So if you're helping me and you're helping what we do for the Inland Empire, it goes way beyond just Cam Gnarly. So
can you spell that out?
Cam Gnarly, CamGnarly.com. And you can follow me on all social platforms as well, under that same name, at Cam Gnarly, CamGnarly. And yes, please follow our event pages as well. If you're local to the Inland Empire and you're an artist and you're looking for a platform to have your music heard or have your product sold, tap in with Audio Dope Events on Instagram, Rad Habits Holiday on Instagram, all spelled how it sounds. And shit, what else, man? Yeah, so the social is probably the best way.
Yeah.
I'm not about to give y'all my phone number or
No,
nothing,
no,
but
we
you
ain't
know what
gonna
I'm
do
saying?
that.
Like,
We ain't
but
gonna do
yeah,
that.
you can support the music and follow the music and join the email list and support the brand via my website and follow me on socials.
For sure.
Yeah.
I realized we didn't even talk about real quick, but can you tell us about, I know we're coming up, I know Northend Gnarly is coming up, but
Yeah.
you got any other current projects that you're working on?
Yeah. Me and my twin. I call him my twin because we got the same birthday. His name is Immortal Teresa, amazing young producer from the Inland Empire as well. We have a project that's in the works. Already got a really, really great soundscape on it so far. In the top of the year, so top of 2024, you should expect that. Tentatively, the project is called Cameron. Okay. Only because not only do we have the same birthday, we have the same first name. So
Wow.
we were both born on 9/12, and we both have the first name Cameron. So we thought to call the project Cameron. So yeah, look out for Cameron. Tentatively, it could maybe call something else by then. You never know. But
maybe Cam Rins.
That's good. That's called. I like that. That's a good one. That's a good one. That might work. Or maybe Cam wins. No. Now I'm just playing off what you said, but yeah, that project's in the works. What else? We also have also have some other projects in the works, some more collaborations with people that I'm trying to work. I'll speak them here because I want them to come to fruition. I may be doing something with my cousin's Brain Story out of Rialto soon, so you may be seeing me do more work with live instrumentation.
Cool.
Planning on working with some new producers. Just taking it there. I want to grow and I want to expand into a way that that I want to work with whoever's going to help me take my sound as far as it could go. You know what I mean? So I feel like we're continuing to do that now on Northend Gnarly. That will be coming before the end of 2023. And me and Teresa already got something cooked up for y'all for the top of the year. So
dope.
Yeah.
So folks, there it is. You guys know where to reach him. Such a great interview we had today. I want to thank him again. I want to thank all you guys for being on. Please like the video if you haven't, subscribe, comment down below, share it. If you want to support, you can do the Cash App, $THEE, Empire Podcast. My name's Antonio The Miles, and it's been such a pleasure. We learned so much today about Cam, from his spirituality to representing San Bernardino, North End, to being very impactful and conscious about what he wants to say on his music and much more. And so I want to thank everybody, and just like we all got a drop, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Peace.
I say it's my duty. Yeah. Is it my will? Yeah. To do what? Yeah. To do is right. I say.
We're going to Joe Right.
Oh
yeah.
I'm glad that did that. Glad that did it right now. Glad that did it right now. You know what that is?